I walked into my own bedroom and saw my boyfriend inside my sister. And for a full second, my brain did this stupid, merciful thing where it tried to tell me I was looking at strangers. I wasn't. It was Nate's back, the faded black tattoo on his shoulder blade, the one he got at 19 and regretted by 21. It was my sister Leah's ankle bracelet tangled in my sheets, the cheap silver one I bought her last Christmas because she'd casually mentioned liking mine. My comforter was halfway on the floor, the lamp on my nightstand was on. Someone had knocked over the framed photo of me and Nate from a friend's wedding, and the glass had spiderwebbed across my face. Leah was the first one who saw me. Her mouth open, but nothing came out. Nate turned, still breathless, still touching her like I wasn't standing 3 feet away, holding a grocery bag with melting ice cream and a bag of arugula. Then he actually said, "Babe, wait." "Babe," like I had walked in on him ordering the wrong coffee. I dropped the groceries. The ice cream hit the floor and split open. I remember that because it was such a stupid detail for my mind to latch onto. Caramel running toward the baseboard while my whole life went sideways. I backed into the hallway and Leah grabbed for the blanket, yelling my name. Nate was scrambling off the bed saying, "It's not. Just let me explain." I laughed, not because anything was funny, obviously. It was that ugly, shocked laugh your body makes when it doesn't know whether to scream or throw up. I said, "I'm literally looking at you inside my sister. Be so serious right now." That shut him up. The thing is, it should have been impossible. Leah was only supposed to be staying with us for a couple weeks while her apartment had mold remediation or whatever the landlord was calling it. That had turned into almost 2 months. I said yes because she's my younger sister and because our mom spent our whole childhood pitting us against each other, and I swore as an adult I would never be the kind of woman who keeps score with family. Also because I'm not innocent in this. The first time Nate complained that Leah was a lot, I defended her. The first time Leah rolled her eyes and said Nate was kind of controlling because he asked her not to smoke on the fire escape outside our bedroom window, I defended him. I have spent most of my life trying to be the translator between difficult people, like if I could just choose the right words, everyone would become normal. I think now that people like me are catnip for liars. There had been red flags, small ones, embarrassing ones, nothing that sounds dramatic enough when you say it out loud. Leah suddenly started borrowing my clothes, even though she and I aren't exactly the same size. Nate started offering to pick her up from the train station when she worked late because it's on my way anyway, except it wasn't really. She started making these little jokes about how spoiled I was because Nate cooked dinner most nights, and he'd smirk like they were in on something. Once I came out of the shower, and they stopped talking so fast it was almost comical. Another time I found my hair clip on the bathroom counter in the guest room she was using, and somehow Nate was the one who answered when I asked if he'd seen it. None of that is proof. I know that. I also know I ignored it because the alternative made me feel pathetic. 3 weeks before I caught them, Nate had accused me of cheating, not directly. It was worse than that. He got weird about my coworker Daniel texting me about a client deadline at 10:30 p.m. and said, "I'm not stupid, Mara. Men don't just text women that late for work." I remember feeling offended and weirdly guilty at the same time, like I had to defend something that wasn't even happening. He went cold for 2 days after that. Leah told me, honestly, if he's that insecure, that's its own problem. I think about that now and want to slap myself. The day I caught them, I wasn't supposed to be home early. I had told Nate I was staying late to help with inventory because quarter end at the clinic is chaotic and boring and somehow always a crisis. But my manager let me go because the system was down. I texted Nate, "Leaving early, want me to grab dessert?" He didn't answer. Leah usually worked remote on Wednesdays from a coffee shop because she said our apartment was too distracting. I let myself in quietly because my hands were full, and there they were. After I backed into the hallway, I locked myself in the bathroom. Nate was knocking, then Leah was crying through the door, then both of them were talking over each other. I sat on the edge of the tub, staring at my own knees like I could keep my body from splitting apart if I stayed very still. Leah kept saying, "It just happened." That sentence made me angrier than anything else. People slip on ice. People forget milk at the store. People do not accidentally take their sister's boyfriend into her bed in the middle of the afternoon. I opened the bathroom door maybe 10 minutes later. Nate had put his jeans back on, and Leah was wearing one of my old college t-shirts. Mine. I can't even explain why that detail felt filthier than the sex. I looked at Nate and said, "How long?" He rubbed his face and said, "It wasn't planned." I said, "That wasn't the question." Leah started sobbing harder and said, "A few weeks?" Nate immediately said, "Not like that." I just stared at him. Then he said quieter, "Since your birthday." My birthday had been 7 weeks earlier. We'd gone to dinner, all three of us, because Leah was basically family to him after 4 years together. They had acted normal. Leah helped me zip my dress that night. Nate toasted me and said I made every room feel like home. Later, we all came back to the apartment and had cake at the kitchen counter because I didn't want dirty plates. I remember saying, "I'm so lucky," and both of them looked me right in the face. I asked who started it. Leah said, "Well, it wasn't like that." Nate said, "You and I haven't been okay for a while." That was his answer. To be clear, he wasn't totally wrong. We hadn't been okay. I'd been avoiding conversations about marriage because the truth is I wasn't sure I wanted to marry him anymore, and instead of admitting that, I kept acting like I was just stressed. He wanted kids soon. I kept saying maybe later. I flirted with the fantasy of leaving before I ever did anything honest about it. I can admit that. But there is a canyon between being emotionally cowardly and sleeping with your girlfriend's sister. I told them both to get out. Nate tried the practical angle first. "This is my apartment too." Leah looked like I'd told her I wanted her dead. I said, "Then stay. I'll call Mom first and explain exactly why I'm leaving my own apartment with a broken picture frame and your earring in my bed." That worked. Leah left in leggings and one of my hoodies. Nate stayed long enough to say, "I never meant to hurt you." I said, "You should have aimed better then." He winced like I'd injured him, and I ended up at my friend Tasha's place with a trash bag of clothes, my toothbrush, and my laptop. She poured me wine I didn't want and sat on the floor with me while I kept saying, "My sister," over and over, like I was trying to learn a foreign phrase. By morning, my phone was a war zone. Leah, "Please let me explain." Leah, "I hate myself." Leah, "Don't tell Mom yet." Nate, "We need to talk in person." Nate, "I know this looks unforgivable." My mom, "Call me when you wake up. Your sister is hysterical." That last one told me Leah had gotten to her first. I didn't call anyone. I blocked Nate. I didn't block Leah, which maybe says something ugly about me. Maybe I wanted to watch her panic. Maybe some part of me still believed she owed me a better explanation than it just happened. 2 days later, she sent one long text. Not an apology, exactly. More like a confession dressed as one. She said Nate had come to her, worried about me after my birthday, saying I seemed distant, saying he thought I didn't love him anymore. She said they talked a lot. She said she felt sorry for him at first. Then she wrote, "I think he sees me in a way nobody does." That sentence made my skin crawl. Because Leah has always wanted to be chosen. She was the funny, messy one, the one adults excused and then forgot. I was the reliable one, the one people leaned on, the one who got thanked instead of adored. And if I'm honest, I liked that arrangement more than I ever admitted. It made me feel superior, stable, necessary. So now I'm stuck with this part that nobody in my life agrees on. Nate has been calling from unknown numbers to say he made a horrible mistake and that what happened with Leah blurred because our relationship was already dying. Leah says she knows she betrayed me, but she also says she thinks she has real feelings for him. And she can't pretend that part isn't true just because it's ugly. My mother, in a performance that should qualify her for awards, asked me if I really wanted to blow up the whole family over one terrible mistake. One terrible mistake. Tasha says I should tell everyone exactly what happened and never speak to either of them again. My older brother says cutting Leah off forever would be extreme, and that I know Mom will always protect the child she thinks is weaker. Even Daniel from work, who I stupidly cried to in the parking lot, said, "You don't owe grace to people who coordinated lies." He's probably right. But here's the part I can't say out loud to anyone without sounding insane. If Nate had cheated with a stranger, this would be simpler. If Leah had slept with some random guy I dated for 3 months, maybe that would be simpler too. But 4 years is a long time to build your habits around someone, and a sister is a lifetime whether you like it or not. My whole family is now speaking in careful half sentences. Like if nobody says the actual words, maybe we can still have Easter dinner. Leah wants to meet in person. Nate says he'll move out and leave me the apartment if I just hear him out. My mom keeps texting me scripture, which is almost funny because none of us have been to church in years. I haven't answered any of them. I did, however, log into our shared streaming account last night and see that Nate made a new profile named L. That could mean Leah, or it could mean nothing. And I hate that I'm even the kind of person now who checks.